So the inaugural Public Works Infrastructure Summit kicks off at the Sandton Convention Centre today under the theme, Turning South Africa into a Construction Site, Growing the Economy and Creating Jobs. How wonderful would that be, Sakina Kamwendo? I know you are there. That's the theme. Let's hope the theme brings about action. Good morning to you. What's happening there?
Well, good morning, Leanne. Still early here, place getting set up, but as you rightly point out, it is the inaugural summit of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and under that theme that you just mentioned, Leanne, and very importantly, how all of that is interlinked. As the theme says, it is about turning South Africa into a construction site, thereby growing the economy and through that creating jobs. And all of that is, of course, much needed. For as we know, South Africa has been lagging when it comes to not just infrastructure development, but also the maintenance of our infrastructure. And all of that will come keenly under the spotlight here this morning. Around 500 delegates are expected, and from all sectors that are included in this particular infrastructure development. And of course, we also going to hear from the municipalities, because that is the site, I think, for most people where service delivery is to take place. But of course, that is also the site where we see the majority of challenges when it comes to the maintenance and upkeep of this infrastructure development, Leanne. And also, if you listen to, and going back to a few sonars, at least the last 4, and you look at the money that is allocated to infrastructure development, then one needs to ask many a question of how that money is being spent, how much of it that has been allocated already has been spent, and why has the rest not been spent. So all of those questions need to be answered, because if we are going to get South Africa working, we have to turn this country into a construction site. The sad reality, though, is we've heard that refrain all too often. So when are we going to start putting shoulder to the wheel and making sure that it actually happens? Because it doesn't matter what you're talking about, whether it's telecommunications infrastructure, whether it's roads, whether it is water, that big summit that we had in this very precinct, or was it at Gallagher last week? All of these things come together, and we need to ask the questions of our leaders at all these various spheres of government as to why things are not optimal. And also, very importantly, Leanne, the private sector, they've been lagging behind government, but last year they did commit to investing around 95 billion rand towards these partnerships, towards infrastructure development. So again, how are we faring on that score? How much of that has been realized, and the rest, why hasn't it? So all of these questions to be answered. We will be speaking to the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, that's Minister Dean McPherson, when you cross to us next, and also some of the other stakeholders in our later crossings. But this is, of course, critical infrastructure development, not just for the obvious development of the country, but as we say, looking at the theme here, that infrastructure development towards growing our economy that has been stuttering, and of course, creating jobs for the millions of South Africans who so desperately need it. So we're coming to you live here from the Sandton Convention Centre, and when you come back next, we'll get into some of those stats with the Minister and also ask some of the more pertinent questions. With that, it's back to you, Leanne.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sakina. Looking forward to it. Very important discussions going to be underway. Get South Africa working and turn it into a construction site. Something I think a lot of us dream of seeing. So let's hope that this dream is realized through talks, but more through action.